First, welcome today. I would especially like to thank the Columbia Gorge fruit growers for hosting us here today, and in particular to the growers who were able to make some time and share their stories today. We're talking quite a bit right now about our economy across our state. Lost jobs, certainly record bankruptcies. This is our opportunity to step in and intervene, to take action at a state level to defend and support a critical sector, not just to this community, but to our entire state. The growers are here today to share the details of the conditions that they face and the reality of the choices that are before them today. And I'm here today because these families deserve to be heard. And these concerns that they have, the issue that is in front of us, deserves action from the state. Imagine working all year, borrowing money and paying employees and caring for the land and harvesting your crop and continuing to advance a family generation, a family farm that's been here for generations, and then you learn that your crop is worth virtually nothing. Some growers this year are being offered as little as $0 per bin. That makes this not just a difficult year, that makes it a catastrophic year that can erase Oregon's history and generations of hard work. And what we do today to help these farms, to help these families, matters. Because this isn't just about pears. It's about whether or not Oregon will protect family farms. It's about whether or not Oregon still believes in our agricultural heritage and our agricultural future. We must recognize that this is a critical and essential part of our state, not just yesterday, but today and tomorrow. Once orchards disappear, they don't come back, and neither do the jobs, neither do the communities, and neither do the families. We know that Governor Tina Kotek has requested a federal disaster designation. I'm glad that she took that action. It's not insignificant that she has chosen to engage immediately on this issue, but today I would like to encourage her to do more. Let's be honest about what we're facing today. A letter to Washington is not enough. We cannot wait for Washington, D.C. to act on this issue, and the actions that they would take would not be enough to save our family farms today. Federal loans can take months, sometimes years to arrive, and not every grower will qualify. We have the tools available today at a state level, and we should be using all of them. These growers need help now. The state of Oregon can immediately take action to declare an emergency. We can immediately mobilize state agencies to help. We can immediately request emergency board funding to provide zero interest or forgivable bridge loans that could take effect immediately. We can immediately delay the implementation of costly new agricultural housing rules. We can immediately pause the ag overtime rules that are going into place soon. We can work with growers on an agricultural overtime framework that works for both the folks that are here to harvest and earn a living and the people that want to preserve their family farms. Let's work together to stabilize them, to stabilize this industry, and protect family farms moving forward. The reality is that this crisis did not happen overnight. For years, policy decision after policy decision made right here in Oregon has made it harder and harder for family farms to survive. Rising labor costs, increasing regulations, and uncertainty due to the state's weak economy and poor business climate have all contributed. If we continue down this path, pear farmers will not be the last farmers standing in a field asking whether Oregon still wants an agricultural sector. Do we still value family farms? Does it still matter to our state, and is it worth saving? The answer is yes. It's absolutely yes today. It's absolutely yes forever. And this is why we're here today. I am here to fight for family farms, and today you're going to have the opportunity to hear from them. Right now, I would like to introduce Leslie Tamura, owner of Tamura Orchards in Hood River Valley and the board chair of the Columbia Gorge Fruit Growers. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Drazan. Good morning, and thank you for joining us today. I'm Leslie Tamura. I'm a pear grower here in Hood River County, and today we're here to talk about more than one bad year of farming. We're here to talk about the future of our family farms, our rural communities, and an industry that has sustained generations. Tree fruit growers are facing unprecedented economic pressures, rising costs, shrinking returns, and increasing uncertainty. This isn't about making a profit and hasn't been for a long time. It's about trying to survive another season. The 2025 pear crop was incredibly challenging. We faced a combination of problems. The Bartlett and Bosque pear crops were the largest on record, creating an oversupply. The closure of the Del Monte cannery in Yakima pushed a lot of fruit in the Northwest region onto the fresh market, creating even more competition. And here in Hood River, growers face the most severe Pearcilla infestation we have seen in our lifetimes. Pearcilla are tiny insects about the size of aphids, and like tiny mosquitoes feeding on people, they feed on the trees and leave behind a sticky dew that promotes a black sooty mold on the fruit. Even if the pears are safe to eat, they become discolored or blemished, and that makes them unsuitable for the fresh market where appearance matters most. Pearcilla is not a new challenge for growers. We manage this pest every year through carefully planned monitoring and management programs. But 2025 was different. The infestation was widespread, affecting everyone. Growers who followed the recommended practices and made significant investments to protect their crops found that our control measures simply did not work. Outside of our normal control measures, we didn't have any resources to turn to. This season demonstrated that growers can do everything right and still face losses beyond our control. Our packing houses have had to throw away truckloads of our fruit on a daily basis this year. We pick our pears by the bin, and while it costs us around $300 to produce one bin, this year we're expecting to receive an average of $100 per bin for some varieties and as little as $0 for others. We already invested the money to grow the fruit, the hand labor to harvest it, the cost to sort and pack it, and now we will be responsible for paying the cost to haul it to the dump. Imagine spending an entire year doing your job, only to discover that the price you receive won't even cover half of what it cost you. For too many of us here, that's not a hypothetical. That's the reality we're facing. Many people don't realize that pear farming operates on a year-long financial cycle. We harvest in the summer and fall, but we only get paid as our fruit is marketed and sold over the next 9 to 12 months. We receive partial payments beginning in January, but we don't know how much each payment will be until it arrives, and we don't know the crop's final value until a year after it's been picked. That's like receiving pieces of your paycheck throughout the year without knowing the amount until the check arrives, and not learning your total annual salary until nearly a year later. Meanwhile, you still have to pay your rent or your mortgage, utilities, groceries, medical bills, and all other expenses. That's the financial reality of pear farming. Oregon growers understand the importance of protecting workers, communities, and our environment, but we cannot overlook the cumulative effect Oregon's policies and regulations has created. Today, we have no margins to speak of and no ability to pass on these added costs to anyone else. The result is a huge competitive disadvantage for Oregon growers. Our system simply cannot and will not support these costs as we compete against growers in other states and countries that often operate under significantly lower production costs. While we are asking for direct and immediate help from our elected leaders related to the Scilla, and we recognize and appreciate Governor Kotek's request for the federal disaster designation to USDA, ultimately what we want is a fair chance to succeed. We need markets that work, policies that recognize today's economic realities, and the opportunity to continue growing safe, high-quality fruit while hopefully earning a sustainable living. This isn't just about our fruit growers, it's about the people and communities that are impacted by what happens to us. Without meaningful action by our state, we risk losing our family farms, local jobs, an important cornerstone of our regional economy. Thank you. I'd like to introduce Lisa Perry, owner and operator of Out on a Limb Farm.
Thank you, Leslie, for your comments. I'm Lisa Perry. I have Out on a Limb Farm, and I farm 14 acres with my husband, Ricardo Galvez. We both grew up involved in farming. Both of our families have contributed to Hood River's farming legacy for generations. Our 14-acre farm is diversified with peaches, other stone fruits, and apples, with the primary crop being pears. I have always loved the combination of skills that farming requires. I have made it my mission to help the public understand the complexity of being a farmer and feel closer to their food. During 6 months of the year, I run a farm stand that sells direct to the public. This provides a fantastic opportunity for me to be a bridge. I hear firsthand from customers what they want from their food and how they think about their food. They get to see in real life the blood, sweat, and tears that my husband and I put into our farm. Another benefit of my direct-to-consumer sales is that I get to help educate consumers about challenges that my own farm faces that year. We discuss big picture challenges and opportunities for myself and the industry. I receive this question often, asking why I don't just sell all of our fruit through the fruit stand or the farmers markets. This is not a realistic option. Even with all the customers that I serve, I can only move a very small amount of the product that we produce on our farm. Consumers and policymakers do not understand the volume of fruit grown in Hood River Valley. We have 15,000 acres of tree fruits growing in this valley alone, and farmers markets cannot move more than a tiny fraction of that tonnage we grow. I love the relationships I can have at the farmers market, but it is not enough to sustain the prices and the movement that we need for our farms. I need the help of efficiency that the packing houses provide to be able to clean, grade, sort, store, and distribute that quantity that I never could. So one thing that I can do that packing houses can't is have that personal conversation with customers. During the 2025 season, I personally showed as many customers as possible what psyllid damage looks like and why that cosmetic damage matters. Setting out psyllid damaged fruit for sale along with cosmetically appealing fruit there in my stand, can you guess which one sold and which one didn't? Even though I personally ate as many psyllid covered pears as I couldn't twist my customer's arm into buying my damaged crop. This resulted in me dumping a lot of bins and not being compensated for the effort of growing it for an entire year. Now, if we think about this at a larger scale, I hope you can understand the monstrous problem this creates. It's not only psyllid that we are battling. Brown marmorated stink bug, codling moth, spotted wing Drosophila, these are also all adding pressure with the damage that they can cause. I want to emphasize that insects are not the only thing that we are battling through the growing season. Now I dread checking my email, as it is often there are announcements from our suppliers about an increase to the services they provide us. Propane, which is essential to protect our crop during critical bloom time, that cost is up. Diesel, which fuels the tractors to pass through the orchards for essential tasks, we all know where fuel prices are. Portable toilet rentals and cleaning costs have also increased. Wholesale power costs continue to rise, and this affects the small cooler that I use to serve my customers, and I also get hit on the other side as well, as the packing houses put those costs onto the farmers' backs. There's numerous inspection fees from all kinds of third-party agencies, licensing and permit fees for scales, trucks, and certifications. Boxes and packaging have also increased. Equipment and repair maintenance, such as new tires to keep my husband and myself safe on the tractors, are also high. Annual irrigation water fees have increased. Sprinklers and the supplies needed to irrigate our crops have increased. Payroll services to help detangle the web of regulations has also risen. Property taxes are now annually increasing by 3%. What is left that isn't increasing? That's the pay to the farmer. The amount paid to the people responsible for paying everybody else. They can increase their expenses to us, but you cannot squeeze water out of a dry sponge. The companies that supply our inputs can raise their costs whenever is needed, but we cannot. The farmers cannot. We are the last to be paid, and we need to ask ourselves, do we want family farms to grow food, or do we want to rely on importing fruit and other labor-intensive crops? There is a quote I think of often: "Tell me, I will forget. Show me, I will remember. Involve me, and I will understand." Too often, the people who make policy for agriculture are not involved and therefore do not understand what we do. With fewer and fewer people involved in farming today, it's becoming easier to forget what it actually takes to grow the food we all depend on. For most people, growing crops isn't something they have to think about. Farmers do. Every single day. We take on the responsibility, the hard work, and the risk so everyone else can focus on raising their families, building their careers, and pursuing their own goals. And they can depend on a steady and safe food supply at their grocery stores. All I'm asking is that we recognize the reality. As we make decisions about agriculture, let's listen to the people who live it every day. Farmers bring lifetimes of experience and practical knowledge to the table, and their voices deserve to be taken seriously. If we want strong farms and a secure food supply, we need policies that reflect the expertise of the people doing the work. My family will continue to work hard, long nights, early mornings, and busy days. We will help to put food on the grocery store shelves. I hope you all will listen with empathy and an open mind that we are trying to run businesses also that are important to our rural economy and the legacy of Oregon. I do not want to see farming families pull the plug on what has taken decades to build the knowledge, skills, and infrastructure to make Oregon a premier farming state. I don't want to lose our family farms. Do you? Thank you, and now I'd like to introduce Jose Rivera from Wells & Sons.
Thanks, Lisa. My name is Jose Rivera, but everybody around here knows me as Pepe. I'm the HR and project manager here at Wells & Sons in our wonderful piece of heaven, Pine Grove. Thanks for the invitation to speak today. Senator Drazan, welcome to our little piece of heaven. We appreciate you taking a moment to come out and really listen to what our community has to say about the current and future struggles of our farming families and what they are facing. Although I am not a farm owner, I absolutely consider myself a part of this family farming community. I was born in Mexico in 1972. In search of a better life and new opportunities, my parents Jorge and Gavina brought me and my younger brother Sal to the United States in late fall of 1979. My parents had hopes of working hard, then taking the family back to Mexico once they could secure enough funds to build a home back in our home state of Michoacan. We landed in Hood River, Oregon, with an amazing farming family in the Moores. June, Alan, Sue, Pat, Lynn, Bruce, Beth, Matt Peters, and all of their extended families, too long to list. But as with everything in life, our road had many twists and turns that ultimately led to brothers in 1980, sister in 83, another brother in 87, and then our baby sister in 1990. My family never left the farm. As a matter of fact, my parents continued to work for the farm to this day, 46 years and counting. My dad is well into his retirement years, and my mother finally called it quits this past packing season. All of this to say, family farms are exactly that, family. My personal journey took me from my birth country in Mexico to my naturalized country here in the good old US of A. My first ever paycheck was at the ripe old age of 14 when Bruce Moore gave me the opportunity to help my dad with irrigation duties during my summer break from school. That led to a very humbling work experience at 16 when my dad said that I needed to help my grandpa, Papa Jose, pick Bartlett pears. Behind the scenes, my dad had begun to work his way into a full-time position with the family farm and specifically working with and alongside Bruce Moore, the owner. He learned all aspects of the farm from harvest to irrigation to pruning to thinning equipment and equipment handling. He became a multi-use employee and because of that was rewarded with job perks, of which came worker-provided housing for our entire family. A benefit like this means so much to a family of 8 individuals. Fast forward a little more than 25 years, I started working for Webster Orchards family and its subsidiary, the Fruit Company, in 2003. I was with the company for the better part of 19 years and became well versed in all things fruit, and then began my journey on the orchard side in the latter years of that employment. This led me to a chance conversation with Devin Wells, my current employer, a childhood and lifelong friend from our days in school together, the kid of a farm worker and the kid of a farm owner. I wanted to share my story today because I know I'm not the only one. There are a lot of families just like mine who have built their lives around farm work. We've raised our kids here, we've worked these orchards for years, sometimes our whole lives. This isn't just a job to us, it's also how we take care of our families. When farms have to cut hours, it hurts families, just like mine. And when farms can't make it anymore and has to sell, it doesn't just affect the grower. It affects the people who work here too, the people who have spent years helping to make that farm successful. I just hope people remember that when they think about what's happening here, there are a lot of families counting on these farms to survive, not just this year, but for the future. And if I could just ad-lib for a second, everybody knows what the right thing is. And I hope everybody in the powers that be, they understand that they need to do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you for that. My name is Jeff Helfrich, the state representative for House District 52 here. And leadership, first thing you do in leadership is you show up and you listen. Senator Drazan and myself listened to the cherry growers, the fruit growers, everybody in this region, and we heard there's a problem. Then her office and my office, sat down and tried to figure out what a plan and path forward was. Senator Drazan spoke specifically what that plan was: convene a group, declare a state of emergency, get the right people in the room to do the right things. You heard that just a minute ago. The right things. Right now, I heard from a farmer that says, Jeff, I don't know if I can stay in business because of these regulations. I can live with one regulation, but I can't live with all the regulations. The agricultural industry is the only industry that buys everything at retail: fuel, insurance, propane, everything they do to run their farm, but yet they sell at wholesale pricings. We already heard what the wholesale pricing is. Some of these barrels or bins are worth zero. Let's walk back for a second. Government does not control the weather. Government does not control the commodity markets. But what government does control is their ability to stay out of the way for private businesses, fruit growers, rest of Oregonians to get out of the way and be available to be a very strong economy. That's what our job in leadership is doing. Again, we listened. There is a 5-point plan that's out there. Senator Drazan talked about it. But we have to, and I mean have to, understand we are at a critical juncture in the state of Oregon with family farms and the overall economy of our state. With that said, we need to take immediate action. I appreciate the governor for doing the emergency declaration request at the federal level, but we have to go even further and convene that group that's been outlined in that plan, because if we don't know who's not going to be here next year or the following year, and what family farms are going to get sold off to corporations, and we lose what we cherish in this great state is the trailblazing spirit of Oregonians. With that, I'm going to turn it back over to Senator Drazan. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Helfrich. You know, all session long, we fought against the Ag Labor Board. And prior to that, we fought against the Ag Overtime rules, and we continue to fight to strengthen, stabilize, and allow to prosper farms across our state. And for whatever reason, the people that are in power in Salem are not listening. I hope today they start to listen. These farms need help. These farm workers need jobs. Oregonians need local, beautiful, amazing Oregon fruits. And we need to stand up for family farms today. So, do you guys have any questions?
I know there's the bug infestation and all that kind of stuff, but what have you heard from the federal government, what they're willing to do? Are tariffs causing a problem in this? Can they seem to be able to regulate everything else? Can they not? Have you spoken to the federal government and your constituents there about putting this forward?
You know, there's no doubt that Washington, D.C. affects these issues. But the reality that we heard, whether or not it was, you know, from Pepe or Lisa or Leslie today, is that the crushing that they're feeling is homegrown. So they're doing the best that they can to manage these pests. They obviously could use a little bit more support. I mean, obviously OSU Extension Service does, you know, partners, and they know what they're looking for and they know how to manage this stuff. But Oregon can't make it harder. The increased ag overtime rules are extraordinary. Farm workers and farmers across our state have said we can't do it. You can't put us at the 40-hour work week and expect us to survive with all the other increased costs for inputs. You can't do it to us. So yes, we need DC to act. Yes, we need some of those international markets to open up again. And it would have been great. It would have been amazing if the cannery hadn't closed. But while we are here at home, while we have things in our own direct control, we need to do what we can as a state. And there's a lot in our power within our control today that can help stabilize these farms for tomorrow. And we can't just point fingers at other people and say, hey, Oregon farms are your responsibility. Oregon farms are our responsibility. We have to fix this, and we have it in our power to fix it, and we should do that today.
Everywhere across, it's not just Oregon, everywhere across the country, family farms are going away. They're being bought up by large, massive swaths of corporations.
Yep.
How do you plan to stop that in Oregon, and what are you telling these people what you're doing in DC and Oregon to stop that?
Well, you know, Oregon farms are almost, I mean, the vast majority of farms in Oregon are still family farms. We have some farms that are not held by a family, but the vast majority of farms in Oregon are family farms. We heard that testimony over and over again when we were fighting against the Ag Labor Board during this last session. People came forward and said, listen, this is a multi-generation family farm. And so here in Oregon, we continue to hold on to this legacy of having family farms. I want to hold on to that legacy. I know the families here do too. The answer is let them. The only reason people would sell out to a big corporation is if they couldn't handle it anymore at a family level. I mean, just the regulatory side of how you have to be responsive to all the new requirements that farms are facing. Some farms actually have to hire somebody just whose sole job it is to deal with inspections and deal with regulatory filings and deal with all that part of the business part of this business. And it's getting crushing. And it's taking their margins and it's making it smaller and smaller. So we need to listen to them. That's what Representative Helfrich talked about. That's what I was talking about. They're the focus today, and what they were very clear about is they expect things like the weather to go bad. They expect the crops to be unpredictable. They know they have to face pests. But for every single issue that the state is controlling, we're just making it harder, we're just making it worse. We have got to stop. We've got to listen to them, we've got to work with them and recognize that they bring value to our state and we can't afford to lose them.
Is there any chance, just because I cover so many food pantries that don't have food in it, I'm just going into the weeds a little bit.
Yeah.
Is there any way for the state to come in and purchase some of these for all the people that can't afford to eat in this state? Is there a way to help both? You're helping people who need food and you're helping people who need to sell food.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you can say or do on that?
Yeah, the extent to which we should be a part of this solution when it comes to Oregon food banks, local or whether or not it's part of the statewide system, needs to be an important part of this conversation. What we can't expect is for farmers just to perpetually throw their food away and give their food away. They need to be able to salvage what they can out of this season. Do any of you guys want to talk about food banks?
I can address that just briefly. Obviously, there's food insecurity happening all over the country and certainly here in Oregon. And while the option of passing along that fruit to food banks or even school programs sounds really good in theory, it's not necessarily the most realistic because food banks really don't have the refrigeration or the distribution capacity to handle the truckloads that we're dumping right now. You know, we're also talking about highly perishable fruit, and so there's infrastructure that is really needed that just doesn't exist at those levels. They also typically can't absorb the volume produced during a major crop year, and as Senator Drazan mentioned, it just doesn't solve the problem that we need to be able to earn a sustainable living for the fruit that we grow.
You guys good?
I just have one last one.
Sure.
There's nothing better than growing fruit. I'm just going to tell you that right now.
Yeah.
Completely biased.
Yeah.
What do you want to tell the people of Oregon, how they can help support and what they can help do, like by going to the local grocery, going to the local farmers, give you a chance to give an over the plate soundbite pitch to everybody. What do you want to say?
You know, for Oregonians today that are stunned and amazed that there's a possibility that they might not be able to buy local pears and local fruit from Oregon, I just suggest this. Reach out to Governor Kotek and ask her to take immediate action to help save these family farms. And when you go to your grocery store, ask them whether or not they're pears or Oregon pears and encourage them to buy Oregon first. There absolutely is a way for us to be able to work together to apply pressure to our political leaders and pressure within our retailers to ensure that Oregon farms have a seat at the table and that Oregon farms are heard at times like this when they are desperate for help. But it will take all of us applying pressure at every level. I absolutely believe that there's opportunity here to be able to save these farms and that this doesn't have to be a catastrophic year, but this can be a time that we come together and we can reorient our priorities and say we are going to stand up and save family farms in Oregon.